Hello everyone! Welcome sa panibagong lecture video sa statistics. Pag-uusapan natin ang sampling techniques. Kapag sinabi natin na sampling techniques, we are talking about the method na pagkuha ng ating sample galing sa ating population. Define muna natin sila. Kapag sinabi natin na population, siya yung entirety. Ibig sabihin yung kabuuan ng group na kasama dun sa pinagkukuhanan natin ng ating set of data. Halimbawa, isang city, isang school, isang barangay, and so on. Kung yung population yung ating kabuuan, yung sample naman natin, it contains a few members of the population. Kumukuha lang tayo ng ating sample. Tapos ang purpose natin, kaya natin sila kinukuha is to represent the characteristics or traits ng ating buong population. Ibig sabihin, yung magiging sagot ng sample natin, nung kakaunti na kinuha natin sa population, sila na yung magiging representation ng sagot ng ating buong population. Kaya pwede nating itanong, Sir, bakit kailangan pang kumuha ng sample? Kasi for example, we have a city with a population of 30,000 residents. Kapag yung buong population yung sinama natin sa study, it will take us a lot of effort, at hindi lang effort, pero we also need a lot of our resources. Kasi imagine, magbibigay ka ng survey dun sa 30,000 na tao na yon, and then, kung meron kang questionnaire, you also need 30,000 copies of that. Kaya dahil sa mga dahilan na to, we are getting samples para makakuha tayo ng data concerning our population. At isa pang bagay, bago tayo tumuloy sa ating discussion, importante na tama yung sampling technique na pipiliin natin base dun sa study na ginagawa natin. Kasi every technique has their own advantages and disadvantages. With that aside, pag-usapan na natin yung ating dalawang klase ng sampling technique. Let us start with our probability sampling. Sa probability sampling, every member of the population has the chance of being selected. Ibig sabihin, kahit nasa pinakadulong barangay pa ako, meron akong chance na maging parte dun sa study. Kasi it involves principle of randomization or chance. Meron tayong ginagamit na proseso para lahat ng member natin ng population ay may chance na maisali. With that, let us discuss the 4 basic types of probability sampling. Mag-umpisa muna tayo sa ating simple random sampling. Ito yung paraan ng pagkuha ng sample from our population. Yung green na bilog na to, ito yung ating kabuuan, this is our population. Tapos, hayaan natin na yung mga pula na bilog sa loob will be our samples. When we talk about simple random sampling, kung makikita natin, sabog yung distribution. Medyo marami dito sa baba, tapos mas konti dito sa taas. Kasi dito sa method na to, kitang-kita natin yung chance saka yung randomization. It is sometimes called as the fishbowl method kasi pwede natin gamitin yung bunutan. Pwede mong ilagay yung pangalan ng members ng population sa isang fishbowl, tapos bubunutin mo para makasama dun sa study natin. Pero that is applicable kapag medyo maliit lang yung population. Pero kapag medyo malaki na, you may use other methods. Ngayon, meron na tayong mga digital applications wherein ilalagay mo na lang yung pangalan, tapos sila na yung pipili ng respondents randomly para sa'yo. So this is it for our simple random sampling. Wala talaga tayong pattern na involved. Hahayaan lang talaga natin yung ating probability or chance na mag-take control. Kaya ang isang advantage ng probability sampling is that yung process ng pagkuha ng respondents will become unbiased kasi walang control si researcher. This is it for our simple random sampling. Ang ating pangalawa is our systematic sampling. When we talk about systematic sampling, kung mapapansin natin, meron tayong pattern na involved. So meron tayong alignment, hindi lang basta nakasabog yung ating respondents. An example ng process para sa ating systematic sampling is pwede natin kunin yung student numbers kapag sa school tayo kumukuha ng ating data. Tapos pwede kang mag-randomize from 0 to 9. Tapos halimbawa, ang nabunot mo ay 3. Lahat ng estudyante na merong student number na nagtatapos sa 3, so 3, 13, 23, 33, 43, and 53, sila yung mga isasama mo sa study. Meron pa ring randomization na involved, pero hindi na yung buong population ang isasama mo dun sa bunutan mo. For this one, ang concerned lang natin is from 0 to 9. Tapos kapag nakabunot na tayo, then mas madali na nating matatrack yung ating respondents. Isa lang yun sa pattern o kaya naman pwede mong kunin lahat ng estudyante na yung student number ay divisible by 7. Pwede ka mag-7, 14, 21, 28, and so on. Kaya when it comes to systematic sampling, there can be many patterns involved. Depende lang yon sa laki ng population tsaka dun sa number of samples na kailangan mo. Again, the major difference between our simple random and systematic sampling is yung process, yung order ng pagkuha natin ng ating respondents. So this is it for our systematic sampling. Mag-proceed tayo dun sa ating pangatlo at pang-apat na kadalasang ginagamit kapag malaki yung ating population. Let us talk about stratified random sampling. Kapag sinabi natin na stratified, hinahati natin yung ating population into strata, into groups. Kung mapansin natin, meron tayong isa dito, tapos ito yung pangalawa, ito yung pangatlo, tapos ito yung ating pang-apat. Hinati natin yung ating population into 4 groups. Yung groups, depende na yon dun sa study natin. Halimbawa, pwede natin siyang hatiin when it comes to educational attainment. Yung isang group ay high school graduates, yung isang group ay nakatapos ng college, tapos yung isang group naman natin ay nakatapos ng kanilang postgraduate programs. There are many ways, depende sa study natin, in which we can separate our group. And then when it comes to selecting our respondents, ang kagandahan lang sa stratified random sampling is there can be equal representation. Kasi pwede kang pumili ng same amount of respondents for every group. Dito, kung nakikita natin, meron tayong 3-4. And then also, pwede rin tayo ng proportional representation. Halimbawa, this is our population, tapos ang hati natin ng proportionality ay nandito. For example, this is our male respondents, this is our female respondents. Kung mas marami yung babae sa ating population, then we can select more female compared to our male respondents. Yung nandito, it can be 60% and then 40%. Ang mahalaga lang sa stratified random sampling is that yung pagpili natin specifically ng ating respondents within our strata ay merong pa rin probability or chance na involved. Kaya hindi basta-basta lang pipili yung ating researchers. Pwede silang gumamit ng simple random or pwede rin silang gumamit ng systematic. When it comes to stratified random sampling, kung napapansin natin, medyo mas matrabaho lang siya. Pero kung importante ang proportionality at representation dun sa study ninyo, then ito yung sampling technique na pwedeng gamitin. With this, we can proceed dun sa ating huling probability sampling, which is our cluster sampling. Ang cluster sampling, hinahati din natin yung ating population into groups. Meron din tayong 4 na nandito. Kaso nga lang, kung mapansin natin, dun lang tayo sa isang group kumuha ng ating respondents. Pwedeng gamitin ang cluster sampling kapag sobrang laki ng ating population. Halimbawa, kumukuha tayo ng data sa isang city. Tapos yung city na yon, meron tayong 4 na district, District 1, District 2, District 3, and then District 4. Tapos ang pwedeng gawin ng researcher, pwede siyang bumunot between 1, 2, 3, and then 4. In this case, ang nakuha niya ay yung 2, kaya dito siya sa District 2 kumuha nung sample na magre-represent dun sa ating buong population. Ang advantage nito is yung researcher natin, hindi na siya magpapalipat-lipat from District 1, District 2, District 3, and then District 4. Magpo-focus na lang siya dun sa isang geographical location. Kasi when it comes to sampling, malaking consideration yung time and then resources na meron yung ating researcher. Kaya ito yung mga consideration na kailangang isipin if we are picking our sampling technique, specifically our probability sampling. Again, lahat ng methods na diniscuss natin as of now ay merong probability or chance na involved. Pero sa susunod natin, we will not be talking about probability or chance. That is our second sampling technique, which is our non-probability sampling. So we have here, in non-probability sampling, crucial yung word na to, not, hindi lahat ng ating member ng population has the equal chance of being selected. Kapag medyo malayo ka, merong chance na hindi ka mapili, o kaya naman pwede rin maging factor yung ating timing. It can also rely on the subjective judgment of the researcher. Kung sa probability sampling, umaasa tayo sa chance to get our sample, sa non-probability sampling naman, mas merong hawak or mas merong control yung ating researcher. So let us discuss kung ano ba yung mga type ng non-probability sampling para mas ma-differentiate natin siya sa ating probability sampling. First, let us talk about convenience sampling. When we talk about convenience sampling, pumipili tayo ng sample based on the availability ng member or proximity to the researcher. Kaya nga siya tinawag na convenience. Kung sino-sino yung mga respondents na convenient or malapit or mas madaling malapitan ng ating researchers, then sila yung mapipili as part of our study. It is also known as accidental kasi kung nagkataon na nandun ka sa lugar at sa oras na ginagawa yung research, then mapipili ka as part of the sample. O kaya naman opportunity, same. Tamang opportunity lang and then grab sampling. Kung sino yung nandun, kung sino yung available, kung sino yung pwede, sila yung maisasama sa research. Kung mapapansin natin ng convenient sampling, medyo maluwag siya. Ginagamit to kapag yung researcher natin ay limited when it comes to time and resources. Kaya siya non-probability kasi wala naman tayong ginagawa na pagbunot or walang chance na involved. This is it for our convenient sampling. Ang susunod naman natin ay purposive sampling. From the word purpose, yung samples natin are chosen based on the goals of the study. Mas may control dito yung ating researcher. Pwedeng mapili yung ating respondents based on their knowledge, expertise dun sa study na ginagawa, or kapag they satisfy the traits or conditions set by the researcher. Kapag gumagawa tayo ng study in the field of psychology, of course, pipiliin natin yung ating respondents na merong knowledge on that field. If you're talking about education, syempre ang kakausapin natin can be principals, division superintendents, or yung mga tao na meron ng mahaba na experience sa field of education. Again, base tayo dun sa goals ng ating study. Kaya rin siya non-probability kasi there are people na merong knowledge or expertise pero may chance na yung mga tao na yun ay hindi available or hindi makakapaglaan ng oras para dun sa study ninyo. Kaya ayun yung mga bagay na pwede nating consider. And then, another perspective when it comes to purposive sampling ay yung traits or conditions na kailangan nung study natin. Halimbawa, meron kang research in science na ang concern mo lang ay specific na blood type tsaka age group. Kaya yung blood type na yun or age group, siya yung traits or condition na kailangan mo sa pagpili ng respondents. This type of sampling is very specific kaya limited yung pwedeng maging part nung study. Then let us proceed sa ating pangatlo na type nung ating non-probability sampling. We have our quota sampling. Ang quota sampling, ang concern naman natin ay yung proportion ng groups ng ating population. It is somehow similar sa stratified sampling kasi hinahati rin natin yung ating population into certain groups. Pero iniisip natin yung proportion nila. Kasi halimbawa, etong group 1, dahil mas marami siya dun sa ating population, mas marami yung pipiliin natin dito compared sa group 2 natin and then group 3. Halimbawa, sa group 1, ang kailangan mo lang ay 5 respondents, sa group 2 naman ay 3, tapos sa group 3 ay 2 respondents. Meron siyang similarity sa stratified sampling, pero ang difference niya is that yung pagkuha mo ng sample, etong 5, etong 2, tsaka yung 3 na nandito, mas may control na si researcher kung paano niya pipiliin yung respondents. Pwede siyang gumamit ng non-probability sampling para makuha niya yung required number of respondents dun sa bawat group. Kaya siya tinawag na quota kasi ang kailangan lang gawin ni researcher ay mapunuan kung ilan ba yung kailangan niya na sample regardless of the method na ginamit niya. Now, let us proceed dun sa last type ng ating non-probability sampling na pag-uusapan natin dito. Let us talk about snowball sampling. I don't know if medyo relatable sa inyo yung snowball kasi wala namang snow dito sa Pilipinas. Pero ang konsepto kasi is that if you have a very small snowball, tapos kapag siya ay magsaslide sa isang slope, maliit siya sa umpisa, pero habang bumababa siya, nakakakuha siya ng snow dun sa surface natin, kaya habang bumababa, yung snowball natin ay palaki ng palaki. Ito yung konsepto natin when it comes to snowball sampling. Kasi dito, yung participants were tasked to recruit other members for the study. Sa tingin ko, medyo magiging familiar kayo dito sa model. For example, meron tayong isang respondent, tapos magre-recruit siya ng 3 respondents, and then we have our 1, 2, and then 3. Tapos yung 3 respondents, magre-recruit din sila ng tig-3. We have 1, 2, 3. Pati eto, kukuha siya ng 3. Tapos eto ay kukuha din ng 3. Kaya yung isang respondent natin, he or she can recruit many other respondents or participants in our study. Mapapansin natin, mula sa isa, nagdagdag siya ng 3, naging 4. Tapos nagdagdag siya ng 9, kaya naging 13. You may ask, sir, paano gagana to? Bakit naman magre-recruit yung ating participant? There can be some motivations. Pero kadalasan, it is about prizes. Kasi pwede si researcher na nagpapasurvey ay magpo-provide ng raffle o kaya naman magbibigay siya ng certain products dun sa other members na makakapag-recruit din ng other members dun sa ating study. Kapag ito kasi yung ginawa na method ng ating researcher, it will take him or her less time and effort para makakuha ng participants ng ating study, pero of course, meron din siyang kapalit na ibibigay na resources dun sa kanyang samples. Kaya when it comes to research, balanse lang yan ng time, ng resources, at ng capabilities. As we end this discussion, wala talagang isang pinakatama na sampling technique. Depende yon dun sa circumstances at dun sa